struggling. I'm sure you'll be the first to say that. Frequent electricity blackouts made it even worse, affecting so many lives and businesses. Things were so bad you had to secure a $1 billion IMF loan in a bid to revive the economy. Your administration also suffered a number of corruption scandals. So why are you the man to lead Ghana again now?
Well, let me make a bit of a correction. I mean, people don't look at our end of term numbers. Our end of term numbers were good for an election year. In 2016, we ended with a budget deficit of 6.1%. We ended with, end of 2016, a debt to GDP ratio of less than 57% debt to GDP. We financed Government of Ghana budget, our budget that year, with zero central bank financing. So the end of term numbers were good. You bought into that narrative that we left an economic mess. It's absolutely untrue. We handed over this economy to the administration that is just going out with predictions of 8% growth in 2017. And so the 8% growth in 2017 had absolutely nothing to do with the new government that came in. We brought on stream 2 new oil fields with fresh revenues from petroleum. We increased cocoa production to almost 1 million tons and brought in $2 billion into the economy. And so the narrative that we left an economic mess is wrong. That's first. But in addition, we have solved the energy crisis. I'm coming just a minute. The energy crisis was a legacy issue. It was the lack of investment in generation over the years that crystallized into an energy crisis. I went to Parliament and I promised the nation that I was elected for a time like this and I was going to fix it. By December 2015, Ghana had no energy crisis. We had increased generation. We had put in the financial mechanisms for paying legacy debts. And so don't buy into that narrative. We had sorted things out by the time we left office.
So, Mr. President-elect, obviously it's more than a narrative. If you talk to a lot of Ghanaians, they were not feeling this percentage growth you're talking about in their pocket. And, you know, some would even say now there are some economic figures that suggest that Ghana's current economy is strengthening slowly. There are some predictions about 7%, you know, economic growth under this current government that you've been bashing and saying they've not done a good job. So ending of anyone's term, there seems to be some sort of jump and some excitement when a new president-elect is about to come in. So which is what you're saying. So you're not wrong to say that, but what the point is, or remains, it was still a serious economic challenge for many Ghanaians, and they weren't feeling the development you're talking about in their pocket. So my next question to you, Mr. President, will be, knowing all that you promised Ghanaians now, knowing all the challenges you faced, again, mentioned corruption issues and all of that, and you want to now stamp it out when you form your next administration. What is it that you've learned from your previous administration that you want to do differently this time around?
Well, one of the things we focused on in the previous administration was to put back the infrastructure. We had a huge infrastructure deficit in terms of roads, water, electricity, healthcare, and I mean, just name it. And so one of our focuses was to put the infrastructure back, but also believing that in investing in infrastructure, you stimulate the economy. And in stimulating the economy, you create jobs. And so, yes, we did create more than 300,000 jobs in the construction sector. And the construction sector carried along a whole of the economic value chain. One area that I think we would focus on and look at in this new administration is to look at issues to do with livelihoods. And so while we'll continue investments in infrastructure through the big push that we are advocating, we're also going to look at issues that affect livelihoods in the sense of the digital economy, in the sense of investing in fintech growth, investing in the pharmaceutical industry, investing in agricultural and agro-processing value chains. That is most important. And so, yes, we're going to look at infrastructure as a driver of growth, but we're also going to look at the larger picture of livelihoods so that we can create more jobs in all those other sectors. And so export, using Ghana Exim Bank, which we established before we left office, we're going to make sure the investments from Ghana Exim go into the critical sectors that will increase productivity and increase jobs for young people. We have the program we call the Jumara program, and that is a program to give young people the kind of capital and startup to be able to start small and medium enterprises. That whole thing was politicized and was given to political apparatchiki and others, while those who really needed it did not get it. And so we're going to look at that. Aside from that, we're going to look at not only piling on taxes as a means of raising revenue, but also looking on the expenditure side and cutting waste in government, reducing the number of ministers, reducing the number of appointees, so that we're able to bring the budget deficit within the target zone as quickly as possible.
Right, right.